Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar, your trusted source for real talk, real facts, and the truth behind all the hype. What if I told you that the Iraqi dinar situation in 2025 isn't what most people think it is? For over 2 decades, thousands of investors have been drawn in by the idea that a sudden currency revaluation could make them rich overnight. Social media is filled with claims of instant wealth, miracle stories, and inside information. But in today's video, we're cutting through all of that noise to reveal the reality behind the headlines. By the end, you'll understand exactly why overnight riches are unrealistic, what's really shaping Iraq's currency today, and what smart investors should be watching for in 2025. Let's start by facing the facts. Many dinar promoters like to claim that Iraq is on the brink of a massive financial boom, a moment that will make investors millionaires overnight. But the truth is much more complicated. Iraq's economy still relies heavily on oil, which accounts for nearly 90% of government revenue. That means whenever global oil prices rise, Iraq earns more and the dinar looks slightly stronger. But when those prices drop, everything slows down. Revenue, development, and currency strength. This deep dependence on oil makes the dinar extremely sensitive to global market shifts. While Iraq is working to diversify its economy, progress takes years, not months. The idea of a quick, explosive revaluation simply doesn't align with how real economies grow. Another major piece of the puzzle is Iraq's ongoing rebuilding process. After years of war and instability, the country is still repairing roads, hospitals, schools, and power infrastructure. That kind of rebuilding requires massive government spending and consistent international support. When a nation spends billions just to restore what was lost, that money doesn't translate into new growth. It's about survival and recovery. These financial pressures mean Iraq must focus on stability before considering any significant currency moves. A true revaluation doesn't happen through wishful thinking. It happens through sustained development, stability, and investor confidence. And right now, Iraq is still climbing that mountain. Now let's talk about Iraq's partnerships with international financial institutions, because this part often gets overlooked. The Iraqi government works closely with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. These institutions provide crucial funding and policy guidance, but they also come with strings attached. They require reforms, cutting unnecessary spending, improving tax systems, and reducing dependence on oil. These changes are essential, but they take time and political will. Until those reforms are fully in place and showing results, it's unrealistic to expect a dramatic increase in the dinar's value. Real currency strength isn't granted. It's earned through consistent reform and growth. Looking at 2025 specifically, the dinar's exchange rate is still officially around 1,220 dinars per US dollar. But there's also a parallel market where rates fluctuate and sometimes differ from the official figure. Promoters often use this difference to claim that a secret true value of the dinar exists, suggesting a huge revaluation is coming. But that's misleading. These discrepancies are caused by economic pressures, trade restrictions, and currency controls, not hidden potential. The gap doesn't mean the dinar is secretly worth more. It means the market is adjusting to real-world challenges. Understanding this distinction is key to avoiding false hope. The word revaluation gets thrown around a lot, especially in online forums. But let's clarify what it really means. A currency doesn't magically increase in value just because the government decides it should. In reality, a currency becomes stronger when its economy grows, when production, exports, and stability all improve together. Countries like China and Vietnam didn't become stronger overnight. Their currencies appreciated slowly alongside decades of consistent growth. Iraq, however, is still in the early stages of rebuilding. GDP per capita remains low, infrastructure is under repair, and while there are positive signs, they aren't at the level needed for a sudden revaluation. So, if someone tells you that you'll wake up a millionaire next week, that's fantasy, not finance. Another crucial point to understand is how the global currency market actually works. The foreign exchange market moves over $6 trillion every single day. The biggest banks, hedge funds, and governments have access to real-time data and analysis. If Iraq were truly about to revalue its currency, these major players would already be buying dinars at scale, but they're not. The absence of institutional interest says it all. Professionals don't invest based on rumors. They invest based on economic fundamentals. The fact that no major financial body is buying massive amounts of dinars should be a red flag for anyone still expecting overnight gains. Financial watchdogs and government agencies have repeatedly warned investors about dinar-related scams. Many people have lost money chasing unrealistic promises made by promoters who present the dinar as a guaranteed path to wealth. These individuals often exaggerate returns or claim to have exclusive inside information. The reality is that Iraq's progress, while genuine, is gradual and filled with challenges. Currency growth takes years of consistent policy, not a single government announcement. Anyone considering dinar investment must understand that the risk of loss is real and significant. To be fair, Iraq is making progress. Oil production has improved, new infrastructure projects are underway, and there's been some increase in political stability. But we can't ignore the issues that still exist: corruption, regional conflict, and slow reform implementation. Each of these factors affects investor confidence and, by extension, the value of the dinar. A strong currency doesn't come from optimism alone. It's built on trust, transparency, and productivity. Until Iraq reaches that level of sustained stability, the dream of instant revaluation will remain just that, a dream. Let's narrow down the main forces influencing the dinar in 2025. Number 1, oil prices. Iraq's revenue and government budget depend heavily on global oil trends. If prices fall, pressure on the dinar increases. Number 2, cooperation with international institutions like the IMF and World Bank. Their reforms are necessary for growth, but slow to execute. Number 3, political stability. Iraq's location in a volatile region means any nearby tension can shake investor confidence. When these three pillars strengthen together, the dinar will strengthen too. But that's a long-term process. It's also time to clear up a few common myths that keep circulating online. One major myth is that Iraq's vast oil reserves will automatically make the dinar extremely valuable. While Iraq has one of the largest oil reserves in the world, resources alone don't guarantee wealth. Extracting, refining, and exporting oil efficiently requires billions in infrastructure investment, pipelines, refineries, and transport systems. Without those, the reserves remain potential, not profit. Another myth is that removing zeros from the dinar will instantly increase its value. This process, called redenomination, simplifies currency transactions but doesn't create new wealth. These misconceptions persist because they sound appealing, but real economics doesn't work that way. A third popular rumor claims that major global banks are secretly hoarding Iraqi dinars in preparation for a massive revaluation. Let's be clear. In today's transparent financial environment, that kind of secret accumulation is practically impossible. Banks are heavily regulated and must disclose holdings. There's no credible evidence that any major institution is making these kinds of moves. These stories are designed to create excitement and lure in new investors, but they don't hold up under scrutiny. Smart investors know that speculation without evidence is just gambling with hope. So what's realistic for 2025 and beyond? If Iraq continues its slow but steady path, diversifying the economy, reforming governance, and building infrastructure, the dinar could gradually strengthen. But this would likely happen over decades, not months. The growth would be modest, reflecting long-term economic progress, not a sudden windfall. Expecting a massive overnight change sets people up for disappointment. Patience and perspective are far more valuable than unrealistic expectations. Before investing in the dinar, there are important questions every potential investor should ask. Can you afford to lose the entire amount? Are you willing to wait years, maybe even decades, for a possible return? Have you verified that your dealer is legitimate and licensed? Many sellers exaggerate profits or operate in gray areas legally. Asking these questions protects you from scams and ensures you're making informed decisions. Remember, speculation is fine if you treat it as such, but it's not a substitute for sound financial planning. History also offers valuable lessons. Back in 2014, when global oil prices crashed, the Iraqi dinar lost a lot of value against the US dollar. Many investors who had been promised quick profits suddenly found themselves holding currency worth far less. Some are still waiting to recover those losses today. This is the risk of betting on a currency that's tied to a single volatile commodity. Sudden gains are rare. Losses can last for years. That's why financial experts recommend limiting speculative currency holdings to a small portion of your portfolio, usually no more than 5 to 10%. Legal and regulatory factors add another layer of complexity. In the U.S., dinar dealers must register as money service businesses and comply with federal regulations. Yet not all of them do. Some skirt the rules, exaggerate potential profits, or use misleading marketing tactics. If you're planning to buy dinars, make sure the dealer is verified and compliant. It's your best defense against fraud and financial loss. Always remember, legitimate investments don't need to rely on secrecy or hype. So where does that leave us in 2025? The reality is clear. While Iraq is making progress, the idea of getting rich overnight through dinar revaluation is unrealistic. The nation's economic health depends on oil prices, global partnerships, and regional peace, not speculation or rumors. Real growth takes time, discipline, and stability. For investors, the best approach is to stay informed, stay cautious, and keep expectations grounded in reality. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, share it with others who might be hearing the same get-rich-quick stories, and don't forget to subscribe to Iraqi Dinar for more honest and up-to-date coverage. Staying educated and realistic is your best strategy for navigating 2025 and beyond. Thanks for watching. And remember, smart investing starts with the truth.